Nicky gives his opinions on Manchester United's new signing Benjamin Sesko. Also, Fabrizio Romano confirms that Manchester United will 100% sign a new midfielder in 2026. But will that come as early as January? I want to have a discussion with you all out there about it. So get involved in the chat and also the live comment section, and we'll discuss some of them opinions throughout today's video. I want to start with the midfielders first. Romano confirms that United will sign that midfielder come 2026.
I think everybody out there knows what's needed, and it's a midfielder. Problem is, some people think we should get one in January. I think that would be very doubtful. Most of these midfielders, what we're looking at and potentially looking at, will probably be playing in Europe. So for me, it's the summer. That's the next target, bringing in a midfield player.
Yeah, he did also mention, Romano, about Conor Gallagher, that United did look to sign him on loan in the last 48 hours of the transfer window. What did you make of that? And what do you think about Conor Gallagher yourself?
Yeah, Conor Gallagher, good footballer. We know what he's like. I look at it, United must have spoken to his representatives, looking for a loan move. He looked as though he was going to come. It faded. I think it was a bit too late for United, a little bit desperate, but it clearly shows how United look at that midfield, and it needed shoring up, and they haven't done it. So the target will be a midfielder. Will Conor Gallagher be one of those potential targets? I very much doubt it, to be honest with you. I think they were just looking at him to bringing him potentially right at the death of the transfer window, just for that year, just to shore it up.
Yeah, he did go on to confirm as well, Romano, that the position to cover is going to be the midfielder. Man United will go for an important midfielder in 2026. We'll see if it's going to be January or the summer transfer window. The player they want is Carlos Baleba. At least with Ruben Amorim as the coach, Baleba is considered the perfect player.
What you want and what you get are two different things. You know, they say a day in politics is a long time. Listen, 9 months in a football season is a long time. You just don't know where Baleba will be fitness-wise, injury and all that. But if he's available, they're going to go for him. They already know the price they'll have to pay. But if you want the best and you think he's the best, then you've got to go out and pay it. And I think United will go out and pay it because it's needed. Will they just bring one player in midfield? Maybe bring in two. But on the other side of it, we've got a young player out there who's getting a year's experience, and that's Toby Collier. I think he can be looked at, brought back to help in that midfield, and I think he will be a good addition to any players what are brought in.
I do think as well, especially reading between the lines and what ended up coming out about Kobbie Mainoo looking to go on loan this season as well, after the Ruben Amorim's comments after the match in his press conference that he's fighting against Bruno in training to cement a starting spot in midfield. I think if they'd have got Conor Gallagher on loan, I think they'd have let Mainoo go out on loan. If you look at the positioning of what Gallagher plays compared to Mainoo, he plays in that role what currently Bruno Fernandes is playing. Yeah,
that's a possibility. He could have gone out on loan and then they'll revisit it at the end of the season. But I think they're going to revisit this midfield before the end of the season. And people have to remember, if we're going to go for a midfield player or any player, we have to get that agreement from the player before the end of the season, as there is a World Cup. And what we want a player signed up, okay? They'll have the targets, they'll have a list, 4, maybe 5 potential targets. They'll go out there over the next few months, talk to the representatives, see if they can get them signed up for personal details, and then hit the club towards the end of the season. But if they wait, United, I think it could all backfire on them. If they wait too long, it has to be dealt with. So the men in suits, they've got a job to do. They know the priority because they wanted Conor Gallagher on loan for a year, and they also wanted Baleba. So they have to do the job, but it is going to be tough. In a World Cup year, players concentrate on that World Cup. So for me, European football, January is out the window, but it has to be done.
I do get the feeling as well, come next summer, you know, depending as well if we do get anyone for the midfield spot in January, I do think next season I think that midfield will look to have been reshaped by Ruben Amorim. When you look at like the likes of Casemiro, I think it's his last season at United. Bruno Fernandes as well. To me, that's definitely 50-50 on his possible last season. So we will need to bring in maybe a ball-winning midfielder and someone also to go alongside that ball-winning midfielder. And I do believe that he's worth a shout, Elliot Anderson, from Nottingham Forest. I do think that's a player that the scouts, not just from Manchester United, but for other clubs out there in the Premier League, will be watching a keen eye on this season.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few players out there, but what United have to do is make sure that whichever representative they're talking to, that the player wants to come to Manchester United, not just come for the money.
Yeah.
Them days are over. So they've got plenty of time to sort of like get to understand what the player wants, what he's all about, and is it about money? The days of coming to Manchester United are over, as far as I'm concerned, about money. If you look at the stepping stone United have took, they've gone and got goal scorers. They've got a couple of proven Premiership players in Kuna and Mbeumo, and they brought in Sesko. And Sesko should thrive under Kuna and Mbeumo, creating more space and everything. So up front is sorted, and the stepping stone for next year will be the midfielder and possibly a centre-half. But that midfield, there's your stepping stone. It will take time to get this club back on its feet, but we're going in the right direction. And for me, I think there's plenty of midfield players out there, but it's making sure they get the right one.
Yeah, Adam Wharton, he's another one who's been mentioned and linked to Manchester United from Crystal Palace, but we know how hard it is to drive a transfer fee with them. When you look on past players they've tried to sell on there who have been their star players, but it's going to be an interesting one to see who they actually move for and who we actually get in at Manchester United, and if it'll be as early as January. Just going to nip into the chat. Ernest Wright, thanks for your super chat, mate. Have you seen the TalkSport podcast that says Onana is a victim of Amorim's system? How is spilling the ball into your net a system issue? Totally agree with that, my mate.
Onana, victim.
Well, it's just, again, the media just trying to pile on pressure to the manager in Ruben Amorim. They're just looking for any excuse to pile it in on him. It's not even a Ruben Amorim signing. I mean, my God.
Yeah. You've got to look at it again. The poor victim. You know, it's never the victim's fault. It's never Onana's fault, or it's never Anthony's fault, or it's never Garnacho's fault. It's never Rashford's fault. It's always something to do with the manager. And then when the manager is under pressure, TalkSport will turn around and go like that. It's down to the players. You just can't win with the media. They have agendas, and that's what they do.
Patrick Shields, thanks for your super chat.
Thank you.
Amorim will fume that Benjamin Sesko played 180 minutes for Slovenia. Was it 2 90-minute games in 4 days? I'm not too sure, because if he's come away from that without any injuries, I mean, as United fans, we want him as fit as soon as possible, don't we?
Well, 2 games, 2 90-minute games, that is exactly what you want. He should be coming back fit, couple of days rest, raring to go. Manchester City, exactly what we want. A lot of people there don't think he's going to start the game. Of course he's going to start the game. He's going to start the game. He's gone out there and people are going on about Amorim, he'll be fuming. No, I don't see it be fuming. I believe Ruben Amorim said, get as much game time as you can, get fit, come back here because we've got Manchester City. That's my belief.
Højlund did score against him, didn't he, in the last international game for Slovenia. I think it was Patrick Dorgu who set him up as well. But I do go against your opinion on Sesko starting against Manchester City on the weekend. I don't think he will actually start Benjamin Sesko. I think if Mason Mount and Kuna are fit, he will go with them in a front three of Mbeumo, Mount and Cunha. And let's be honest here, you know, in modern day football now, you've got the choice of 5 substitutes to bring on. I mean, it's not just all about stronging your starting 11, and you can mix it up in the second half. And I don't see what the problem is when you're looking at the stats, even at the start of the season up until now, how they've actually risen them stats and how positive they look with shots on goals, chances created, etc. So for me, having Cunha and Mbeumo, Mason Mount there, I still think that's a pretty good forward line. And then bringing in Sesko into the second half and then actually starting him in front of the home crowd at Old Trafford the following week against Chelsea.
Not a chance. You brought a striker in, simple as. Get him in there. He's had the game time. He knows what it's all about, and he's up to fitness. He's just proved it. That's why we bought him. forget the experiments. You're not going to play Mount up there all the time, are we? Okay, forget the experiments. I want my side, right, regular, the best 11 on there. And we've signed a striker. We've got rid of one because he didn't get the service and he didn't put the ball in the net. We've got Kuna and Mbumo there who are going to create everything for Sesko. They're going to create in space. They're going to create goal opportunities. And Sesko is match fit. We bought him. Play him. I don't understand the debate out there.
I do get that. But I don't think they're willing to make the same mistakes as they did with Rasmus Højlund at such a young age as well. And like I say, with Cunha and Mbumo in there and Mason Mount, I'm more than happy with that sort of quality that's up the pitch there. They all can create with each other, link up pretty well from what I've seen already, and they can get on the score sheet. And Mbumo looks like he's got that match sharpness now as well, looking like the similar player than what we actually got from Brentford. So for me, I'm more than happy with that. And then bring on Sesko in the second half for 30, 25 minutes. I don't see what the problem is with that. And then you look at the following game the week after, big game against Chelsea at Old Trafford, start him in front of the home crowd.
Okay, here's the problem. Okay, experimenting. We've gone on about no need to experiment anymore. You should know where the player should be playing. Don't play a player out of position and all that. We did not sign Mason Mount, okay, as a false number 9.
He's not been playing that though.
I want Sesko as a number 9. Okay, I don't want Mason Mount up there. A lot of people will not want him up there. They will want Sesko. Why did we sign and pay all that money for a striker and now he's fully fit and you don't start him? The pressure will pile on. It won't make sense, and it doesn't make sense to me. That's my opinion. You've got your opinion.
Yeah, I just look at it. Obviously, he's completed 2 90-minute games in a short space of time, which I think is really good for the lad. But he's had no pre-season. He's still trying to adjust to his new surroundings here at Manchester United, adjust to the way people behind him are going to be servicing him. And I don't see what the issue is. I'll go back to it again. We're starting with a front three that I mentioned earlier on, and then getting the lad some minutes and a starting spot against Chelsea the following week. That's going to still be a massive game for us in front of a home crowd. So for me,
that's picking and choosing your centre forward who you've brought in to score goals. That's how I see it. And I think a lot of people out there will see it, and some people will see it Kieran's way. But hey, that's what opinions are all about, isn't it, Kieran?
It is indeed. I want to know your opinions as well. If you want Sesko to start, do you think Ruben Amorim will start Sesko in the derby on the weekend? But I want to know your opinion, so get it in the live chat and that comment section as well. Nicky Butt's had a lot to say.
Always had a lot to say.
On Benjamin Sesko. It does feel like Manchester United may be making the same mistakes as what they did with signing Rasmus Højlund, another young lad based on potential, and he's going to be the main man at Manchester United. What did you think of it?
It's a lot of hope. It talks about Watkins. He believes it would have been fine to sign Watkins short term. That's how I look at it. But signing Watkins instead of Sesko, the club look at it a different way. They bought Sesko for the long-term future. He's a goal scorer, and they believe that he'll fit in. And what it is, when you look at the combination of Højlund playing for Manchester United as a striker, which Nicky Butt does look at, and he thinks United may make the same mistake with Sesko. Well, I don't believe United are making the same mistake with Sesko bringing in a young striker as to bringing in Watkins, because Sesko has got a different regime around him. If you look at Kuna, what he is, he's a goal scorer, and Mbumo is a goal scorer. They create, they are fast work. They work for 90 minutes and they're getting better with each game. So Sesko will be given a lot more freedom, a lot more balls, a lot more opportunities because of the quality of the players around him. Go back to Højlund. I understand Nicky Butt's fear, thinking, I think it's more in hope. He's hoping it's not a mistake like it was with Højlund. But we've got different players who are Premiership proven now, okay, with a young striker who has just completed 2 90-minute games and is chomping at the bits, right, to score for Manchester United in the derby.
He did go on to later say, as you just seen up on screen earlier, that he said he would have gone and got Ollie Watkins, instead of Sesko. Someone's a help, but also pull through the young strikers during a bad patch. And I can't actually disagree with that.
No.
Because I've been saying for the last 2 years, even when all the hype was going on around Ivan Toney at Brentford, I was still asked the question, who'd you rather have, Ollie Watkins or Toney? And I've always stuck with Ollie Watkins, and I did do throughout the summer, based on my opinions, what I was giving about his Premier League experience, his link-up play, but also what he gives you as a centre-forward. Off the ball, his pressing. That's what Ruben Amorim wants from his centre-forward, and he has got that in abundance, Ollie Watkins, and he's still got more than enough in his legs, I think, at Premier League level. When you look at the games he's played throughout his career compared to some younger players.
Yeah, he's looked at Watkins, and to be honest with you, you can't really argue if United would have brought Watkins in because it would have been a nice fit. Another proven goal scorer in the Premier League. It would have been a nice fit. But United have looked at it, and they've looked at Sesko and Watkins and thought, right, well, if we bring Watkins in, what are we achieving? This is how I look at it. And I think they're just achieving a short-term fix, whereas United have a plan. They told us they had a plan, and they were looking long-term, and they've gone for Sesko, who does score goals and has got the right backup with him. It's not as though he's going to be left on his own. So for me, I think Watkins, would have been a nice fit at United, but it would only be in a short-term fit. And he is Premiership proven. You can't argue with that. But Sesko has got more firepower, more players who understand the game in the Premier League better than what Højlund had. We had selfish players at Manchester United for 2 years running round Højlund, and he suffered and he could never get to where we actually wanted him. So for me, Watkins, you can be right wanting him in, but it's short term. But the club aren't looking at short term now. They've sorted it out up front, what they want. And now they're looking at the midfield, which could be next year. So for me, I prefer Sesko for the long term. Okay, Watkins short term, I couldn't argue with it, but is it the right strategy? I don't think it is.
Like I've always said there, I think Watkins has got at least 3 or 4 years of what he can play there at the top level in the Premier League with Aston Villa or whoever else. I do genuinely think that. And the ideal situation this summer or the last transfer window would have been if we could get Watkins as the proven goal scorer, the one with the Premier League experience, and getting Sesko in as well. So you can have Watkins as your focal point. He's going to be your main man. And then you can do some rotation minutes as well then with Sesko to build up that Premier League experience, but without having that sort of like huge pressure on him like we have seen with Rasmus Højlund over the last 2 years. But things don't always go like that. So Sesko, when they've been doing this deal in the background with Christopher Vivell, he's obviously someone who knows Benjamin Sesko with his time at Red Bull. He must think that the guy's got enough character even at his age to handle what is going to be pressure on his shoulders being the main man at Manchester United.
You would expect anybody who's been signed, that anyone who's signing the player, right, would sort of get to know the character and know that when he comes to Manchester United, right, he can wear the shirt, okay? It is a heavy burden. So for me, Sesko, yes, he knows Vivell and all that, but it doesn't mean anything. But when you listen to Sesko and when he talks about Manchester United and what the shirt is and what he knows he needs to do, then for me, going forward, he knows he's got some hard work to do and a lot to sort of face up to, and he's prepared to do it. And I like what I hear. So for the long term, I think this Sesko will be a good buy. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when he's going to start actually using him. You think he's going to be starting in the lineup against Manchester City on the weekend? If you are just joining us, I want to know your opinions on that. Do you throw Benjamin Sesko in the derby, or do you leave it another week against Chelsea here at home at Old Trafford behind a full crowd behind him?
Well, you don't leave it that long. You just don't leave it that long. The kid's chomping at the bit. Listen, Amorim, United, playing over there, 2 games, international games. They've had a chat. We want you to play 90 minutes. Then come back to the club. Let's have a look at you. Make sure you're proper fit and all that. The standard what we want. And he's done 2 90 minutes football. You can't argue with that. So he's ready. And I mean, this debate will go on until we see the team sheet against City. You just don't buy a striker okay, to replace a striker and don't start him when he's fully fit. Yeah, that argument, okay, is debatable about the pre-season. Yes, we know he didn't have a full pre-season, but he's actually played more football, okay, recently than most players will in international duty. So for me, he's ready. And you don't spend that money and just keep waiting. Oh, let's have a nice little opportunity. As people are saying, oh, let's start him against Chelsea or put him on the bench. Wait, he's not really ready. Of course he's ready. He's a young lad, he's a footballer, wants to play every day. Wants to play every day. And he's playing for Manchester United and he can't wait. And that is what you want. Someone who's going to dive in and take City on and he's going to give it them. That's how I see it. I'm really, really confident in Sesko. 100%, it makes no sense. Makes no sense not to start him. Just the same as it makes no sense not to start Le Mans. He's the #1 goalkeeper. We bought him. Okay? Never mind all this. Onana's going over to Turkey. Onana was never going to be in the starting lineup against City. Le Mans was brought in to be the #1 goalkeeper and to start straight away. That's how I see it. We're on a different path here, Manchester United. We're going to take it to teams. We've had the early few games. We've got the cobwebs out of the way. And now we're ready. And Sesko's ready.
I do get your opinion and I agree with it. We're starting Le Mans in net against Manchester City. But is it totally ruled out that he won't actually start by Indy? Is it ruled out? You know, is this another conversation where you're looking at it and you're thinking, is it too early to throw him in with all the attention around Manchester United's goalkeepers right now?
Every day's attention at Manchester United. Every day's pressure at Manchester United, okay? He signed for Manchester United. He understands what the pressure is. We all understand the pressure. And the quicker to get the nerves out the way is to get in there straight away, right? And dive head first, straight in. And that goal is there. There's no moment in time where you can say to a goalkeeper, well, you know, a little bit difficult game there. It's a bit of a tough game to start with. Every game's a tough game. Every game. Every game's pressure. You look at Old Trafford, waiting to bring a player on to start a game just because it's Old Trafford. There's more pressure at Old Trafford than there is at an away game. More pressure. And we've seen what pressure happened last year. Just got run through and got leaded a lot of the time at Old Trafford. There is no waiting game here. Every player will understand the history of this club and what pressure it is. That's why they come to Manchester United, because it's the biggest and the best. And get me in there. You don't wait.
I do like what I've seen already, and I've seen it like loads of yous out there with Mbeumo at Brentford crossing the ball, and I've seen glimpses of that in a Manchester United shirt. So I'm looking forward to when Sesko does start or he does get minutes, them crosses where Mbeumo cuts inside and he looks for that centre forward, because what is he, 6'4", Benjamin Sesko, the aerial abilities there. So you would think that's a tactic that surely Ruben Amorim's going to use to try and get us some goals as well.
Mbeumo, Kuna running around, putting in crosses, linking up with him, Sesko holding up play. That's what it's all about. I just look at Nicky Butt's comments about why he preferred Watkins to come in, okay, and not Sesko. He wanted Watkins so he could help the other strikers. Well, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. And he means the young strikers. So for me, that is the wrong sentiment, okay? We want a striker to go in there, be selfish, work hard, and put the ball in the back of the net. Not to bring in Ollie Watkins so we can, like, tutor the young players. That's not what I wanted Ollie Watkins in for. I wanted Ollie Watkins to come in, be selfish, and put the ball in the back of the net and be ruthless. He wouldn't be here for that long. He hasn't got time to look after young strikers who need a bit of help. There's other people in the background for that. So for me, Sesko's here. He'll get the help off the coaches and everything. So will all the other young sort of starlets who are trying to get in to the first team. Bringing in a striker just so, as he said, Nicky, but to help the other. No. That's not what we want. We want to bring in a striker who's going to be putting the ball in the back of the net, not there to be a welfare officer for other players. No. They've got to get on. These other youngsters, what are trying to fight through, they already know what they have to do, and they know how tough it's going to be. And bringing in Ollie Watkins or a senior player to help other youngsters. Nah, if you was there right through and you'd been there for like 7 years, I understand players wanting to help young players and that, because they're a fabric of the football club. If you'd have brought in a senior striker instead of Sesko and brought in Watkins, for instance, right? He's there to do a job. Just do the job. He's not there, right, to run around and be part of the history of Manchester United and the fabric of Manchester United. Bring him in, do a job. Well, we've not brought him in. We've brought in Sesko, and he will do a job.
Just going into the chat, Simply Dread from our members club. Let's back whoever plays and get behind the club now. Totally agree with you, mate. And it does look like we've got competition for places that are starting to build, especially in their number 10 areas. You've obviously got Cunha as well, who can play as a centre forward. Do you think Chidowobby will get any minutes this season? Or is it more likely maybe towards the end of the season, do you think?
He'll get minutes. He'll be in the squad. He'll be brought into the squad, in and out, in and out.
Get a bit of a feel of the match day squad.
He'll get game time, just depending. He'll be on the bench a couple of times. We'll see that. And he'll get game time. Will he start a game? I very much doubt it. I very much doubt it. Unless there's a serious run of injuries, then I can't see him. I think he's there to learn. I think keep banging in the goals, keep performing in the under-21s. So for me, no, I just can't see it. The risk is too much. And why would you start him over Sesko, who's cost a lot of money, who's the main striker, and we're playing less games? Don't make sense as far as I'm concerned. But he will get game time, like a few other youngsters will get game time.
Just thought you'd do a bit of a brief video today, having a look at Nicky Butt's comments. Also for Fabrizio Romano's news about a new midfielder coming in 2026. But will that be as early as January? I think a lot of yous out there, including myself, hope so. But get involved in the comment section as well. Smash that like button to help support the channel. And also, Simply Dread has just gifted 5 memberships.
Top man.
Nice one, my mate. The 5 people who've been gifted their memberships, a big thank you to Simply Dread. And yeah, get that notification on, because we will be back tomorrow. So come and join us and have another Manchester United chat. Enjoy your day, everyone. And thanks, Simply Dread, for gifting them 5 memberships. Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you.